I did notice your particular match has a lot of interest in it. And I've seen some back and forth on the social media kind of stuff happening. How much did you know about your opponent before we had ever submitted that opponent to you?
I just know he talks a lot of shit. That's about it. Yeah, and I like that, man. Like that gets me going, gives me a reason to go slap the fucking. I'm like, it's like a new sport. We're like the pioneers of this, like, new athletic company. Like, this is just like perfect and awesome, and I'm just going out there to have fun, man. I don't not like the guy. I'll give him something to talk about on that podcast, though. I'll tell you that. Oh yeah, you wanna open your mouth and stuff. We can go make that a real big event for sure.
What is up, everybody? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, Rafa Sparza, coming to you with another great installment of the Grappling Hour. I hope you're having a good day. I think you're having a good day. I know our guest is having a good day. That dude was outside getting more sun because I think he is powered by the sun. I can't get a full read on that. I think that's what happens when you come from Hawaii. But we'll get to him in a few seconds. First and foremost, if you like this show and you want to give us some love and support, look at this. Look at this Grappling Hour t-shirt. You can go on over to rafasparza.com/merch. You can get one of those t-shirts in many different colors, though we are starting to run out of supplies. So go quickly, please. And you can also get yourself a hoodie if you live in colder regions or just like the style and profile when you are waiting to compete. Because I'll tell you this much, when I go to compete, I am definitely wearing my hoodie because it be cold sometimes, y'all. Just saying. So you can do that. And you can also like, comment, and subscribe on this video over on our YouTube page. If you don't know what you want to comment on, by the end of this interview, I will give you something to comment on. So if you have no idea, hang tight. We will do something for you there. You can also check out our Patreon page. It is patreon.com/grappling hour. And you can see interviews like this 30 days before anybody else. And that's just for $5. If you want to pay a few extra dollars, you could see extra bonus content not available anywhere else, including tape studies where we watch matches and fights with the athletes and have them break down their fights with us. You can also see extra bonus content, including minisodes, episode topics that you yourselves are pitching over to me. And you can even check out a segment that we like to call Roast Raf, where people roast my competition footage. I think we want to say that one as much as possible because I think people really enjoy that segment. We actually are in the process of getting somebody who I competed against that I'm looking to interview, which will be a very, very funny interview because they did very well. And I would like to make sure that their penance for beating me up in jiu-jitsu competition is that they have to come on the show and do an interview. He's a very, very good MMA athlete. Long story short, this was not a match that was supposed to happen, but it was one of those ones where I was like, well, it's just free matches, but he's really good. This is going to suck. So I think you guys will enjoy that when we lock that up. So go there, and you can also continue the conversations that we have here on the show over on our Discord page. That's at Grappling Hour on Discord. All right, our guest. This young man has been putting together a very impressive resume here in the SoCal region. Now, maybe you aren't here in Southern California, but he brings so many fans with him in attendance, you might be able to hear them from different states. He has been putting it together very, very well. I've had the honor of seeing his fights, photographing some of his fights, and I'm very happy to announce that he will be joining us at Subversiv 10, the 10th installment of Subversiv, this April 13th, in a match that is definitely already starting to get attention and make big waves. But I'm happy to bring him onto the show for the very first time. One, Jake Babian. How are you doing, sir?
Oh, we're doing good today, man. How you doing?
Very, very well, my friend. I'm sorry to take you away from the sun. I know we were looking for a different location here.
We're good.
You said that you were looking to get some sun. I see you at the beach all the time. You look like you're taking your dog. It looks like you get out to the beach quite frequently, though.
We got out pretty good. I'm waiting for my grappling hour shirt to come on in.
Oh, I see.
Looking forward to it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? See, here's the thing. Most of the time I see you, you're looking to get the rash guard off as soon as possible, and I'm like, no, 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 bro. You got to keep the merchandise on. That's what we have to do here.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been told. Yeah.
You know
Well,
what happens
man.
though?
Yeah, I'm excited.
You
Go
should
ahead.
be my friend. You're doing great competition. You're doing great work. I've said that I've got the opportunity to watch you. You're a beast in action. You're doing excellent in competition. I would love to ask this. How did you start getting involved in Up Next Fighting? Like, when did you start knowing that that was the place or the organization that you wanted to fight for, sir?
Yeah, so long story short with that is everything kind of came rolling in, like month by month. Like we got a bunch of fights out of the way, and then it got to a point where we're like, all right, we're gonna take the next step, and we started looking for like different shows, obviously checking prices, contracts, stuff like that. And Up Next came at us with like a great deal, great contract. And like besides all that, like great production, good people, they care about their fighters. So that was like a promotion I was really interested in being in. Bellator was up in the air of conversation, but that was just felt like taking my time more on the regional scene was like a better route to fit kind of where I was going. So I've only been doing this for like 2 years now. So
It is very funny that yes, you've been doing it for a relatively short amount of time, but you come in there whenever I see you in the cage, and you definitely play to the crowd well.
yeah,
You've got a good style. You're very entertaining to watch. One of my favorite things is even when I was doing our research and going through your grappling sort of clips that you've put up, you're there to put on a show. So I think that you kind of recognize that yeah, you could probably go to a few different organizations, but I think here Up Next seems like a good fit for you, especially as you're getting more and more experience.
yeah. Feel like we got, a little bit of a tighter grip with them, like I could fight more often, fight when I want. Like they got great shows and like I said earlier, just great people. So happy to be a part.
I also laugh because you fit the role. I say that you play up to the crowd, but like you have this great connection with them. Like I hear crowds get lit when you are going. So like by approximation, like how many people are rolling in deep with your army? Because I've been somebody who's been cage side and photographing, and I have to tell you, it's one of the few times I thought I needed to bring in like the ear blockers, the little
Yeah.
earbuds, because I was like, damn, they're very loud here.
Yeah, I mean the brand speaks for itself. I mean the people have put together like an army, so it's like when they roll up, I mean we got like probably 100, 150 people plus, rolling deep too, and like coming in from Hawaii, like Florida, Connecticut, like all around, coming in to see me and stuff. Like the support is tremendously, like a lot's taken, but also at the same time, like the local support being a fighter primarily from Hawaii, like now out here in California, like still getting like the local support out here is important. And it's been like very, very, like very good. Yeah. So so far so good. Can't complain, right?
That's what's up. I want to ask about this. Tell me about your most recent fight. You've been on a tear. It's been fun to watch you, but I thought that you were making even bigger strides, and I was very happy to see you pick up your most recent win. But in case people didn't see your fight or may not be familiar with what happened, do you mind telling us what happened in your fight, sir?
Yeah, so my last fight against Zach Krasinski. So I had a matchup fall through like early on the month prior to the event. So like we were kind of up in the air about a fight, and then we had one guy, and then we had another guy, and it was just like kind of just like didn't look like it was gonna happen. And 1 week before the fight, I think Saturday, he lost his opponent due to injury. They called me like, "Hey, this guy just fell out. He fights at 165. He wants to come up to 170." And I was like, "I'll take it. Yeah, like let's do it." I've been training. I never stopped training. Just like a small cut for me, and yeah, I went in there and had to do the business. game plan was take him down, take his back, and finish him. Couldn't get the finish, but we laid on quite a barrage of elbows and punches. Had to definitely had to definitely make him go through the ringer a little bit, right?
I
I
mean,
couldn't get that submission, and then I got a little tired, and I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll just have to hit him the next couple rounds. I was like, fuck. It
I get
was
it, but
fun.
the hard part is, as I always tell people, and I remind them, I'm like, jiu-jitsu is easy until someone's trying to not let you submit them, and especially in a fight
Yeah,
region, things get a
especially
little more
money.
difficult there.
It was different. Yeah.
But I do want to point this out. Even though you both had opponents fall out of place and things kind of obviously were starting to be a little bit shaky, it's got to feel good to at least get a fight going on. Like, especially when you put that time in,
Or
you want to go in that cage. So what did it feel like when you actually knew, like, okay, at least we've got somebody, even if it wasn't our original person we were game planning for?
yeah, so that's something I do. Long story short, great question. That's something I had to consider as well as not having like a full on game plan for him. Things are always a little like up in the air. It's like, okay, we didn't train for this, we didn't train for that. But over the last, few weeks of opponents come in and go in, we had a very well put together all around training camp. So I felt like, no matter where he wants to bring the fight, I had an advantage. I trained a lot on the striking, a lot on the grappling. So I just felt like I was ready all around. And being in the cage, just clocking in, doing our work. Once we were in there, I knew the fight was mine.
Yeah, I mean, you looked very dominant in that fight, and I thought it was a good evolution of where you were going to go. And more importantly, I always tell people, I go, it's very interesting to see how people recalibrate to a new opponent. He was also getting ready for somebody else, so he's coming in with a different idea of what might happen.
Yeah.
And I thought that you had a great display of what you do and where you've been best, because I've seen you in many different capacities in competition, and I just thought, man, what a very very solid performance to carry you on to the next thing. So it looked like you were kind of on cloud
Thank you.
nine afterwards. You felt pretty good. You looked pretty good. What does the celebration look like for you post fight win?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm all about like, picking the peaches that you grow or whatever you want to say. Like, I put a lot of hard work into this camp, and it's not often we get a fighter that pulls through, considering all of the people who've pulled out in the past, fights we've missed, stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, we enjoy it. Spend time with family is usually the first priority. Friends, eating out, putting a little bit of weight back on, because spend so much time cutting and fighting and running, and forget about the good old taste and pancakes, stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, it's just like a good man, just good old time,
I just
but
want to
only
point.
for a week.
Yeah, I
Back
was about
we're
to say,
back
I'm
in the
looking at you right now, and you're like, oh man, look at how out of shape I am. I'm like, I
yeah,
don't.
yeah,
I don't think
yeah.
you get to say that. As
Yeah.
an actual fat kid,
Well,
you don't get to look and be one of us. I'm like, no, you actually still look like you could
um,
probably still go for a few rounds and fight, sir.
oh yeah, we hope so. Yeah, well, this subversive competition we got coming up, I've been in camp for a few weeks for that too now, so we're looking forward to a good time for sure. We
Well,
gotta
you,
we're gonna make some waves.
well, that's great. We're going to circle back to that in a second, but I wanted to continue on the celebration because you started mentioning food. You mentioned pancakes. So normally when somebody mentions that as their first food, it makes me think, are you more of a breakfast guy, or is that just the one that you were craving the most, or that jumped out at you right now? Like, what are the post fight foods that you start to ingest? Because one thing I do know is when you are training high, you have a high caloric deficit. So you probably end up putting a good
Yeah.
amount of food away after the fight.
All right, like I'm like such a nerd when it comes to this stuff. It's like all I do like nutrition. But like if we're talking about like post fight or post weigh in, I want like an easy carbohydrate that'll break down nice and fast, quick. So yeah, of course, like a waffle or a pancake, peanut butter, a little bit of fruit, some maple syrup. Yeah, that goes down nice and easy. That's perfect. But like if we're talking about like off season stuff, yeah, waffles. I always like to do peanut butter toast. I love toast, butter, stuff like that. Just high carbohydrate, because could always use that for later. But yes, high carbohydrate. Always.
I feel that. Good on you. I also noticed one thing. So the day after you ended up winning, what people may not know is that sometimes they double book a venue or they double book where they're filming out of or they're training out of. And in your particular case, the day after your fight, I saw you at a pro wrestling event. And I have to tell you this, I'm a huge pro wrestling fan. And I saw you
Yeah.
there and I thought, you don't look out of place there. You actually looked quite natural in that little squared circle there, sir. So how did that all come together?
Well, that all started at Commerce Casino. Yeah, like after the fight. So I was hanging out with like the Kesslers, from Dr. Kessler, that whole team,
Mm.
hanging out. They're like, "Hey, are you going to the event tomorrow?" I'm like, "Oh, the wrestling event." Good friend Jeremy was telling me about it. I was like, you know what? Yeah, I got some seats there. Why don't I go? I'm gonna go check it out. So I called up some friends. We rolled up. We get in there. Next thing you know, their commentators are calling me out on the mic. They're like, "Oh yeah, talking about the fight." And me being in there, and so like everyone's like, "Jump in the cage, jump in the cage." And I jump over and I run up and I jump in the cage. I'm running around in a circle, yeah, and it was just a good time. People are laughing, we're having fun, just still riding that high. So it was fun. I definitely would be open to doing something like going into the pro wrestling world, doing an event. I think what they do is legit fun, extremely talented, tough. It's fake as fuck, but I mean, like, that shit is real at the same time. Like, throwing each other off the ring, like, dude, it's real, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
But not real, but real.
let's put it this way. The way I like to tell people is, yes, the outcome is predetermined. It's a lot of the stuff that's in between that you are kind of doing something where you're helping the other person, but there's still so many athletic feats involved that sometimes I look at it and I go, you have to be a special kind of athlete to be able to pull some of those things off. So
100%.
when I just look at somebody like you
100%.
and I was laughing at it, I go, yeah, his showmanship actually kind of makes sense here. I just don't know that you're a pro wrestling fan or you know things. So I always like to
Oh,
ask people this, which is if you were to have a finishing move, what would your finishing move be, sir?
yeah. It'd be called the Dream Catcher. It's my standing guillotine. And it'd probably be on my first opponent, AJ Mana, who's also a pro wrestler, Samoan shooter. He'll see this, he'll know. Yeah,
So,
that's
okay.
one of my famous moves. Pick them up by the front of the neck and lift them off their feet.
So let me point this out to you. Pro wrestling, little difference between what we do and what
Oh,
they
maybe
do.
I can't do that.
I'm just saying part of the reason why, and people don't know this connection, but the deep roots of pro wrestling, catch wrestling, was that they ended up having to predetermine things because they kept going to different towns and different towns and different towns. Because if they do what we do, kind of like in grappling, where you kind of like wrench their neck and you lift them up, they're gonna be like, "Hey, bro, my neck, I can't perform tomorrow." So we may have to finesse the finishing move so that we keep your training partner
Okay.
safe. We already
We'll
know
have to
you're
put
good
the
in
arm
the
in there.
cage and in the ring, so we're good there. We just maybe we're gonna
Yeah.
figure that out.
Yeah, we'll have to figure that one out.
But the nice part about it is we have kind of a joking thing as a pro wrestling fan. When I'm rolling with people, I will catch people with pro wrestling moves, and they're like, "Yo, I'm not afraid of getting armbarred by you or kimura by you. I'm afraid of being put in a Boston Crab." And I go, "That's what I'm good at."
Yeah, Boston Crab's not fun. Been there, done that.
I well then let's ask this: who is the person putting you in that Boston Crab? Is it like a family member, other training partner, or the gentleman that you were just speaking about?
Yeah, no, it's the guy I was talking about, AJ Mana.
how
Oh.
did that happen? Like, it sounds like there's already
Well,
a
so
built-in match and storyline. How did that happen to you,
yeah,
sir?
there's a story like, oh man, we could get into this. Yeah, no, he's a good pro wrestler. He trains over at Metroflex with us too. Former teammate from Body Shop. But he picked that career, and he's had a very good career's been very good to him over the years and stuff. And I like to support, be around for that, and you kind of learn a lot. Hanging out with the wrestler. They're always trying to show you shit. Hey, check this out, check this out. All right, show me, show me. And then my ass doing it later.
I'm glad that, you know what, that was nice of you to let him do it. The worst part is all these pro wrestlers that know jiu-jitsu and grappling or have fought, they are dangerous people because they have the best of both worlds and they know how to
You
make most of these submissions that
gotta
are
be
usually
tough
fake
and
work.
strong. Oh yeah, 100%. Oh, you just need a little grit. That's all you need.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, I'm like, there's a move called a crippler crossface that you can hit from when people are in turtle. And I always tell people, I'm like, you'll get a wrestler sometimes, they'll wrap your arm around you when they're in turtle and they'll like try to get it in between your legs. And I'm like,
The
please don't
body
do that.
lock, yeah,
Yeah, I'm like,
yeah.
for the love of God, don't do that to me. Like, I'm going to start pulling on your neck. And it's just because I think
Yeah.
it's funny. And they're like, yeah. And I go, yeah, it's the quickest way to tell my wrestlers, please don't. Like get
Yeah.
on the inside, don't go around the leg. It's just bad news. So they never forget once I do it once. But that's cool, man. Well, I would support you going that direction in the near future because every
I
time I've seen you,
appreciate
I've
it.
been like, yo, this dude already changes up his look. Sometimes I see you in the blonde hair. I'm like, you already have 5 different stage personas that I see that you could be using.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out like what's going on over here too. But we'll click with something soon and stick with it. I'm just kind of expressing myself. That's all it is.
No,
How
I
I'm
mean, that's
feeling
good
that
for you. I have
day.
one look. This is the one look that happens. I've tried different things. It does not work for me. So when other people can be the chameleons and all that, by all means, do all of that, sir.
Yeah, well, we'll stick with this look for now. All the old ladies, oh, I don't. What'd you do to your hair, young boy? I'm like, oh, mom, let's relax. Hey, it'll grow out. It'll grow out. Ain't
Well, I
nothing
just,
to be worried about.
when you with that like bleach blonde, like peroxided out version of you, I looked at that and I was like, yeah, you can pull that off, man. Like, good on you, because that is a
It
very
was,
distinct look to have.
yeah, it was gray, kind of like the Charles Oliveira haircut, but it was to match the white leopard print shorts. I was like, it was actually for the Halloween fight, October 21st, but the guy pulled out. So I had like a cape with like the fur to match my hair, to match the shorts. Like I had a whole thing going on. And then we got rescheduled to December, so it kind of like just faded through. And then we just were left with like the faded gray hair.
It is kind of a bummer. There's not really a Christmas version of that you can do. So it kind of does
Nah,
bum things out. How much time do you spend thinking about these walkouts? Because that's a very detailed process you just named. You were
yeah.
mentioning the fact that it was going to be, you were matching your hair to your shorts and to a cape. Like, that's a lot of thought that you put into a walkout, sir.
Yeah, so again, circling back to I feel like, being a fighter, like if you look at yourself as like a business, you got to invest in your business, you got to think about ways to grow, network. And I also feel like creating like a character, not just something you can look and laugh at, but something you can like feel and resonate and grow with. And over these last few fights, I've had like an opportunity to connect with, different fan bases and stuff and like just really kind of put my foot down and feel like where I'm at, who's here, like what we are, and because of course I'm representing Hawaii, Armenia, or sorry, wrong side, Armenia, like a lot of stuff. So I'm just kind of like, treading through the water and kind of seeing what's going on there. So I'm still learning, never did this before either. But yeah,
Well, you have a good sensibility for it. And we're in an age where I've seen Dana White reluctantly let fighters like MVP or Israel Adesanya do things that are a little bit special. But I argue,
Dancing and stuff.
yeah, I argue it adds a little bit more emphasis, a little more oomph to the overall presentation, and especially on the local scene. Like, people go nuts when you do something out here. So as somebody who commentates
Yeah.
fights, I love it when I see people get invested and stoked about these things.
Yeah, see, it's hard to talk to other people about it because, like, yeah, obviously, this isn't something you can have a conversation with your coach about. Like, you and your coach are focused on winning a fight, not going out there and putting on a show, especially at like a young stage that I'm at. But I agree 100% with you. Like, what can we do to like get the fans engaged? What can we do to get the kids to watch? What can we do to get, girls to pay attention? Like, what are things that like captivate different audiences? Of course, like if you walk out there with like pink tiger stripe shorts, you're gonna have like a very, very particular set of people who are very colorful that like that kind of stuff, such as me. I love like contrasting colors, that would capture my attention. It's all about, but there's such a different audience. It's crazy. Stuff I'm learning about, former bartender. You gotta like kind of learn personalities and stuff.
I feel that. And I'm glad that you're able to take something when you were bartending and knowing that interpersonal dynamic and relating that into your real life, because it's one of my favorite things to do. You would be surprised how many bartenders and servers I have interviewed over the years who are fighters or grapplers, and you go, oh, that's a real skill that they have. Like, they interact with a number of people, and the smart ones figure out how to take that interpersonal skill and use it elsewhere.
Yeah, it's definitely a huge attribute for sure. You could be a good fighter with like no personality. That's gonna make things really hard for you, especially when it comes down to interviews or like, making deals and stuff.
I want to know this because you're wearing part of your fashion, you're wearing part of what you're known for. I've heard it mentioned multiple times, your nickname. I have never fully heard the story behind it. I just kind of put things together. And I wanted to know how you got that nickname and who was the person who ended up giving it to you.
Oh yeah, great question. So the shirt in a whole is kind of a complex thing for me. First of all, shout out to the sponsors we got on the back. I don't know if we can see those or whatever, but yeah. Main thing we're gonna go for is we got the Armenian flag, the Hawaii flag. I'm born and raised in Hawaii. I'm Sicilian Armenian. Last name's Babian. And Bar was my middle name, Barbabian, which translates to barbarian, like kind of that
Mm.
slang. And Mafia is just kind of the Sicilian kind of like part we like twisted in there, give it like a group, like a gang, like a cult, like, So it's just kind of like a reflection of me, pretty much. I'd say, and then you got the tiger shark teeth necklace, represents being a warrior. That's like something we came up with a few years back from my first fight, and we just kind of ran with it. So far, it's kind of fits me. I like it, and I'm happy with it.
It does fit you. It just, the first time, and this is purely notes from
Yeah,
somebody who
yeah,
is a spell checker or a proofreader for some things. The first time I read your nickname, my spell check went off, and I was like, "Wait, this is written. Oh no, it's a pun. Okay, got it." But like, it checked
yeah, yeah.
my spell check ability. So the first time I read it, I go, you know what? I think that works for you, and I think that you seem to have
You had to
cultivated
look
a good brand
twice.
around it.
Yeah. Hey, as long as you had to look twice, that's perfect. You know what I mean? Try to captivate an audience is pretty much it right there. And the maroon, it's usually gray, green, or tan, or black. But the maroon, I was like, shit, I'm starting to like this color a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
You were mentioning that you have an eye for color. It seems to go with the design palette.
Yeah.
So, I recently, we were just mentioning t-shirts. It was hard for me because I am not necessarily a style person, but I knew that a lot of people wanted to support the show. So I was like, well, I better make t-shirts. So when did you kind of recognize that you had an eye for style? Was that something that you always had growing up, or was that more like, hey, I am going to fight, I need to create t-shirts, this is an additional way I can express myself? Like, how did that start to manifest for you?
Yeah, I appreciate your kind words. Yeah, I don't personally have no style. I got a sister that takes care of all that for me because I couldn't match my clothes to save my life, so to say. She's laughing right now. Yeah, man, it's just growing up with a sister. She's always been helping me put my outfits together and picking out my shoes and stuff. So I don't really I don't really need to do much. And then she
Hey,
helps
listen,
me with this stuff. It
that's a great thing to have. You have your own personal
works for
stylist.
me.
And I got to be
Yeah.
honest with you, it's always great when you can lean on somebody else. For me, half the time, I just look
Yeah,
at my
for
wife and I'll
sure.
give her shirts and ties and be like, you figure it out. Like,
Put
you're
it
the one that's
together
going to, you're going to be the one that's
nicely.
embarrassed being near me, whether I look a certain way or not. So you just tell me
Yeah,
which
'cause
one you
I'm
like.
fine. I'm fine. Yeah, I'll wear three different colors. I don't care. You know what I mean?
Well,
I got these bad boys. I'm good wherever I go.
I just tell people this all the time. I go, I have one client, it's my wife, and I can care less what
Yeah,
anybody else thinks about. Like, if somebody comes up, they're like, yo,
that's
this didn't match. And I was like, bro, I got these sweats from Costco. Like, I'm not trying to win any
yeah,
championships on fashion.
yeah. That's a fact, man. I'm with you right there.
So let's transition now to getting a little bit more towards Subversiv. I did notice your particular match has a lot of interest in it. And I've
Hmm.
seen some back and forth on the social media kind of stuff happening. How much did you know about your opponent before we had ever submitted that opponent to you?
I just know he talks a lot of shit. That's about it. Yeah, and I like that, man. Like that gets me going, gives me a reason to go slap the fucking. I'm like, it's like a new sport. We're like the pioneers of this, like, new athletic company. Like, this is just like perfect and awesome. And I'm just going out there to have fun, man. I don't not like the guy. I'll give him something to talk about on that podcast, though. I'll tell you that. Oh yeah, you wanna open your mouth and stuff. We can go make that a real big event for sure. And then we got some other guys, Travis Thomas and Steven Martinez, bad motherfuckers. This is gonna be just fucking war from the moment you guys walk into that event to the minute you get out. Cause I don't plan on leaving easy. I want that belt. I want the win. I want to make the team look good. Patriot empowerment, of course. They're really good people. I got a lot of respect for them. So I want to represent them as well as I can. And, besides all the shit talking and stuff, I'm going to just go out there and put my hard work to the test. And like I said on the video, if I don't come out on top, I'll have to choke them out from the bottom.
I'm laughing because you mentioned the fact that he has a podcast and he has a weekly or whatever cadence he has, like voice, a place where he can espouse his thoughts, his feelings. Have you
Yeah,
ever
I
had
I
an
like his
opponent?
content.
What's
Huh?
that?
Oh, sorry. No, I said I like his content. I fuck with what he does.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you
Yeah.
follow his content and you regularly,
Yeah.
if it wasn't you being named in it, you might actually watch it.
Yeah. I just don't have his shirtless weekly update podcast newsletter thing. Every week I see him post. Like, oh man, I follow some of the stuff like the Jimmy Kimball. You know what I'm talking about, right? You kind
Yeah,
of
yeah.
follow. Yeah, so I know he's cool. He's pretty legit on that, but. We'll talk about that after the match. You know what I mean?
Fair enough. Yeah, I found it very entertaining that he had something, he put out something with your name, you immediately had something that you put right back on out, and it just seems like this is going back and forth. And we're a little bit about 3 weeks away from that match, and I know that it is continuously anticipating and building
Yeah.
more. So I'm sure it has to feel exciting to get back, especially on a nice stage like that, to get to test your jiu-jitsu.
I really don't know what to expect, man. Like, never been to the tournament before. Not sure how much mats they're gonna have. Not sure where it's gonna be, what it's gonna be in. Like, I've heard such good things, such great things about, like the event, the people, and this and that. I'm just not. Oh, this model. Okay. I'm just not like familiar with this tournament, so nervous in that aspect. Let's go clock in and get it done, right?
Well, here's the good news with that. You are with somebody who does know that tournament style. One Steven Martinez, who is one of the most seasoned individuals out there, like just a monster, a beast to have on your team.
Is he on my team or am I think I'm going against them.
Oh shit, are you going against him? My apologies.
Yeah, I'm going against them.
Wait, so
Yeah.
is it like a wait, what is exactly the matchup you had? I thought it was a 1v1 sort of
So
situation
I'm
here.
going. It's gonna be me against King Bao, and then me against Travis Thomas, and then me against Steven Martinez. And
Hmm.
my face is gonna be like laughter.
Yeah, I mean, I will double
Yeah,
check all of that.
yeah,
I do believe
probably.
it is a team event. I will make sure
Yeah,
of
I
this.
got I got two people on my team. I got a girl and a heavyweight guy.
Okay,
But in
copy that.
my but in my bracket though for the 185, those are the gentlemen that I've been told I'll go against.
Got it. Okay,
But
sorry. It took me a split
yeah.
second. Sometimes things change on the card that not even I know about.
Oh
But
yeah, no, I know. It's constantly.
that is good news. I mean, whatever you're in for, you're going to be in for a very, very, very hectic time, but still a very good one. But I am telling you this right now. Yeah. So on this, now I see this. You're on Team Patriot Empowerment. I believe your teammates are Diego Vasquez and Bree Stick. Bree, a
Yeah.
monster. Love her as well. And we were talking about Steven Martinez. He is on Team Phase. So he is the one in your weight class on that. So that just depends on who advances once we create the brackets. And those are the individuals you said you could be teaming against. So my apologies. I did get that part wrong.
I should line them up. Let's go.
But that's great stuff, man. And I mean, the nice part for you is, coming in with that MMA background, it's definitely going to pay a little bit of help when you are in that, because a lot of these guys sometimes they come in with jiu-jitsu and they don't know what it's like when they get slapped for the very first time.
Yeah, I got big hands.
That's what's up.
What's
So,
your skill? Big hands.
well, you know what? While we're on the topic, I did see on your, I believe it's the up next little bullet points. I don't know if we refer to these as bullet points, if you would, but the little fighter facts. It said on there you were a spear fisherman. Did I read that right?
Yeah, yeah. I used to spearfish back in Hawaii. Man, as long as I can remember, since just a young boy. Spent pretty much whole summers every day after school, just being in the water, being at the ocean, being at the beach. Just fully immersed in like nature. Yeah, I spearfished though quite a bit, and love to eat fish and cook different styles of food, and you know, I don't spearfish out here though.
Yeah, clearly. But I would ask this though: what is the secret? What is the trick? What is the best advice you have for being a good spear fisherman?
Knowing how one thing that like correlates really well with fighting and spearfishing is like once you can kind of grasp yourself in the heat of the moment, things are crazy. Once you can become conscious, I think it'd be very similar to like being lucid in a dream, like being aware in your dream, being aware during that adrenaline dump, being able to like, sorry, I got my dog right here.
It's okay. We're a very dog friendly show here.
He's so freaking heavy.
Oh
He's one
well.
years old, 80
How old
pounds.
is he?
1 year old. He's
Oh, that's
about
a
80
1-year-old
pounds.
baby. Oh, what's the dog's name?
Malo. He's Malo.
Oh my God. So
Yeah, he's a
adorable.
big boy. He like sees me talking to the camera. He's gotta make sure I'm good. I'm all good over here. Okay. I was sorry. I was saying. Okay, so like being able to like control your breath like in between rounds and like control your breath, like relaxing your heart rate has been like such a strong correlation between spearfishing and MMA. It's not like no secret sauce or nothing that's gonna make you world champ, but like being able to like just slow down and like okay, calm. Like you got 1 minute to relax between rounds, right? Just being able to like as soon as the bell rings, just being able to okay, just like bring yourself down. That's important too because when you're underwater, you face like your fin gets stuck on a rock or your belt gets stuck on a piece of coral or like you name it, there's a shark, whatever. You got to be prepared to handle the situation. You got to be prepared to not be able to come up for air. So that had like a really strong correlation that paid itself back over the years, of being a fighter.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. Because I'll be honest, I mean, I think you mentioned something that's very important in most competition for martial arts, which is finding a center. So, for example, I know my center for hosting, I know my center for doing a lot of other things. But even when I'm competing, it's like trying to maintain that focus that allows you to be both loose and composed at the same time is a very difficult thing to teach people or to explain. So sometimes when you're telling people, you're like, hey, yeah, some students I might tell take this deadly serious if they're going to a grappling competition, and some I'm like, hey man, be loose, like be
Yeah.
relaxed. You're a little too wound up, and that's something I myself even go through whenever I'm doing it because I have competitors of all different types who I've competed against that sometimes they come over and they want to be your buddy, and I'm like, hey man, I'm super friendly, like I do this for a living, like I know how to be friendly, but like can you wait until like an hour and then we can be
Give me like
friends?
an hour, yeah.
Yeah, like all hugs, all bros, all great. Talk to you later, man. But for just maybe 20 minutes, be there. And then sometimes I'm like, nah, I can stand to be a little more loose. So I think you're right. I think having that skill is incredibly important, and it is cool to hear that. I just myself, I don't have experience in spearfishing, so hearing people
Yeah.
kind of describe that world is very interesting to me.
Well, yeah, it's funny. I was just thinking about it today, how like every fighter's got their story, and just kind of how like thinking about my life going from being bullied to like spearfishing all the time to like having these particular hobbies to just the growing up the way I did, and then all of a sudden like one day like I was getting bullied, and then I started training, and then like to lead it all the way to here, it's just so fascinating, especially in these like pivotal years of a young man, like to be on this track. And it's kind of, it takes off. It's like every day is different than the last. And, it's fascinating, just from like a human being standpoint. Because, hey, like not everybody's got an answer for this. It's not a career that's been around for 200 years, right? Very, very new. My dad is like, there's no money on this. Now we're making money. Now we're like, oh shit, like money.
Well, I mean, most parents usually say that just to give you the push sometimes to say, this is a risky thing. And it can sometimes come back to be that extra kick in the ass that we need to succeed. And I think that happens in a number of careers that aren't like lawyer, doctor, oh, those are good. Everything else, I don't know about that. So you'd be
Yeah.
surprised how many people hear that. I would tell you this though. You did start mentioning a little bit about your background in terms of when you started and when you were getting bullied. I always like to ask people if they remember their very first jiu-jitsu class. Was it jiu-jitsu first for you, or did you do another martial art, or was it wrestling? Where did martial arts or combat sports enter your
Yeah.
life?
So I've been in wrestling like in and out for years. Started in elementary and then middle school. No, not like religious. In Hawaii, it was like a very, very, very a very weak program. And sorry to say, but it's just a weak program. But like, yeah, like 1 year in elementary, 2 years in middle school, 2 or 3 years in high school, and then I got out and I started working right off the bat. One day I was in a garage and I was picking up screws that fell off the ladder, and the homeowner was like, "Hey, are you a fighter?" And I'm like, "No," but like I'm very yeah. I mean, I was like, "Yeah," but no, and because I am a fighter. And then he's like, well, you should come and try this jiu-jitsu class, this and that. That was the first day that changed the rest of my life from here on out. Was being in that garage at that moment where he recommended me to go down to the gym. In Hawaii, small island, so I'd never heard about this gym before. I go in there, small warehouse, bunch of people training. Go in there, I get messed up by like a 125-pound purple belt. And that was the day I was like, all right, time to start training. And like, I remember driving home, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. I was like, damn, like I'm becoming a ninja. Like the shit I'm learning, it's like, feel like a superhero. That was back in 2018. Yeah, that was
So
it.
let me ask this. What about it stuck out to you? Because obviously so many people have this 125 pounder beat the crap out of me background. That's something that connects so many fighters in their story. But everybody has a different thing that draws them in. What was the draw in for you? Was it the challenge of it? Was it the fact that you're competitive and you go, no, I don't like getting beat? Or was it the fact that there is this whole technical skill that maybe all of your life you had never really pulled out of your brain, but that you maybe knew you were capable of?
Honestly, I could probably lean closest to your third answer, but it was probably at that very moment in time my lack of fulfillment, feeling like I'm in my prime, like working this job I just hate. Like I was doing garage doors. I was fixing garages, installing them. I just felt like so like the fulfillment of a man being empty. I was like, there's something I need, like, and yeah, this calling definitely took up a lot of my free time and put me on like a really good track to be a better man, this and that. But then that urge grew and it grew, and it was kind of like similar to what you could probably say a drug is, it just makes you want to keep going back for more and more, and then like, okay, now I want something stronger. Next thing you know, I'm like on Google trying to find MMA fights near me. My mom's like, "You're out of your freaking mind. Like, what are you thinking about?" My dad's like, "You can't do it. You can't do it." And I'm like, "I'm gonna fucking do it. I'm gonna fucking do it." And yeah, fast forward a couple of years, here we are. They're over there in the crowd cheering them on, cheering me on and stuff. It's
I'm
cool.
gonna take a wild guess here and say the Sicilian comes from your dad.
Yeah, you
Okay.
nailed it.
I didn't have to do much. I just saw this gesture happening here and I was like, well, I can start 23 and meing all the different parts of your background now.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, you
I
start
mean,
writing them down.
you know what it is, man? It's every parent probably goes through the same thing, which is you want your child to be financially safe and physically safe. And I'm sure they were probably happy you were training, but a lot of people go through that. Oh man, this is a dumb career. I don't know
That
about that.
urge.
And yet at the same point, you just told me how you didn't feel fulfilled until you started doing this. So it wasn't a
Yeah.
matter of, oh, I might do this. You knew it was down the line.
Yeah. 100%. I knew somewhere. I knew athletics had to be somewhere. I was like, man, this like construction, air conditioning, concrete. I was like, this shit's just not it. Like, this is not me. Like, I always like whatever it is. Vehicle. If I buy a vehicle, I want it to express me. Fast, cool car, like a big, aggressive truck. Like career, like it needs to be like contact. What do I like? I like fighting, and like to just see it all lace up together. And now that considering like ticket sales and promotional pay and sponsors, it is a lucrative career with a big future. And so now, like, having some realistic like money in my hands, gives not only me but my parents, like, it's like, okay, like we see that there is potential here. What direction can we go? Of course, I've got good guidance. I'm not gonna go blow all the money, not all of it, but
Well, that's that's a hanging modifier if I've ever seen one of. Maybe not all of it. We'll see. I would like.
what do they say? 10% in the bank, right?
Hey, as long as you're putting some of it
Ten
away,
percent.
that's all I want. I just I think to myself when I hear people say that they found this lifestyle, they found what it meant to them. I do like to always try to pinpoint when did it actually feel like it was working? Like when for you did this feel like, you know what? I made the right choice because that may not happen after your first fight. It may take a couple fights. And for some people, crazy people, insane people, sometimes it happens even on their first fight. So when did for you this kind of make sense where you said, yeah, it's all coming through now?
Uh, so I'd like to talk to this. I'd like to talk to people about this too, this topic, because you'll see. I lost my first amateur fight, and then following a great career, I lost my pro debut. So it put me in a place where there was, for moments, uncertainty. Like you're trying something for the first time, like it didn't work out. Like, do you want to deal with the fact of failing twice? Like, there was a lot on my shoulders at that moment, but it only encouraged me to be better, do better, and, predominantly come out with the win. Moving into the pro career, yeah, losing my first fight. I'm on a 3-fight win streak now, two back-to-back first round finishes, and then this great, unanimous decision performance. Like, if I had quit at the beginning, I would have never got to see all this greatness. And I know I'm on a good track, but yeah, when I really got to really solidify the fact that I want to do this was after my loss as a pro. I was sick, too prideful to pull out, whatnot, whatever. But like that just gave me this like burning urge of fire inside. I was like, I didn't feel like it was right to lose, and it just like, I knew right there at that moment, like he started a fire that it's gonna take a lot to put out, and so burning hot.
I mean, I'll be perfectly honest. I was there for that fight. I do remember that distinctly. And one of the things that stuck out to me about that fight for you in particular was I just remembered how hard it was to put you away. Like I remembered looking at you and thinking like, okay, this fight should be done. And like I remembered your opponent had a choke. He was trying to get it on you. Most people, that's lights out. We're done. We're tapping. We're moving on to the next fight. What I saw that night was a very very strong heart from a fighter, and I just thought like, okay,
Mhm.
that's an interesting thing. Like this kid was exhausted, but he still found ways to stay in the fight for as long as he could. And I always keep tabs on everybody in the community. It's a very small community out here in Los Angeles, but I always look at people and I go, okay, you don't always have to judge people by their worst day, but it does give you information. So the question is, how do you come back? And when I saw you come back from your next fights, I thought, yeah, he's made good adjustments. You're definitely using your body in different ways now that I think are better for you. And I think whatever you've been doing with your camps have really, really tended to pay off in big ways. And I thought, as especially juxtaposed to your last performance, it's a better composure that you have now. So it's not just learning new skills
Yeah,
and having them and knowing what to do with them, but how to stay composed when it's easy if you're beating somebody to get too caught up and like leave yourself open for stupid things. So I think for you,
100%.
that's a very, very good trajectory of coming from, man, that sucked, but it made me realize what I really wanted.
Yeah, you can't win them all. Like people are like, "Oh, you lost." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I mean, I've lost once, as a pro, once as an amateur. Like I've also beat the brakes and pissed off a lot of people who've never fought again, So like, I mean, I've got no like ill feelings towards the sport, It's like kind of what I signed up for. It's like your football team got sacked 25 times last week. Like, shut the fuck up, Like it's just part of the sport, man. Like I can't hate it. Like anybody that does, like you'll really know a true fighter. Like a lot of these guys go undefeated, 10-0, 11-0, get knocked out, and then never fight again. Or 6-0, 6-2, knocked out, never fight again because they can't handle like that's the real fight. It's like being able to handle your failure, like being able to be accountable for your fuck up, like your hands being down, you getting knocked out, like you got to be accountable for that. Like a lot of people just can't face that truth. They can't look their parents in the eyes after, and like, bro, like that's like that's like the other part of fighting, the dark side people don't ever think about, don't ever see. See people get knocked out, you don't think about like how he must think about how his kids must see him or his wife
Hmm.
or like and then that can go into his life down the line as like traumatic event. You think your car accident's bad, well how about daddy get knocked out in 2019? Fuck, that's a lot worse than the car accident, you know what I'm saying? Like, but
I
no, I'm just
Yeah, I also think of it like this, which is we have a very weird expectation in martial arts that we don't maybe have in every other sport, which is that even in boxing, when we see somebody's lost once, you go, "Man, what a bum." In MMA, we're a little more lenient, but every once in a while, like I heard people being like, "Yo, Dustin Poirier, he's washed," and I go, "I don't know, man. Like
and he
he's
comes
still a
back and
pretty
knocks
good
that guy
fighter."
out.
And then all of a sudden it's
Yeah,
like, see, he's losing. What a loser he is. And I go, bro,
yeah,
don't count it. Look at this dude. He still finished this fight. Like, I think it's what happens is people look for trends and they want to stay on the trends. So they think of fighters like they're on the stock market and they go up, buy low, sell
that's
high.
exactly.
So you know what? This dude, he lost one. I'm gonna have to sell and get out. And then when you sell and get out, you go, see, I feel better about myself because that dude's on the down low now. So he's really screw that
Hmm.
guy. For me, as a fight fan and somebody who has hosted and interviewed a multitude of personalities over the years, I've come to this, which is I've talked to people right after they lost and said, that doesn't make you a loser. It meant you lost. So it just depends on how you pick yourself up. And if you want to call it a career, I'm not going to think less of you because I want you to be healthy. It's just competition is unforgiving, but at the same point, it will make you better if you know how to pull it out of you. And
100%.
it's the hardest skill to learn because you really have to go through loss to experience it.
All I can say is a lot of people have never tasted their own blood, and it shows. Like that's gonna make like when it comes down to making it through like rounds and stuff. Like that's the stuff like you rather experience it in the gym with your friends than in the cage with someone trying to kill you. Fortunately for me, I got people that'll push me and show me that there is a way out, and there is one way out, and everybody's given that equal opportunity of quitting, and that's just not an opportunity I'm gonna take. I'll go out on my shield.
Well, of course, I mean, it does seem like great things are still in your way. And I got to tell you, man, we're very much looking forward to hosting you over at Subversive 10. So, normally, as we round the bases here, I like to say this. We like to put the camera on you, especially after a big win like this, to go ahead and allow you the opportunity to shout out any sponsors, any people you want to shout out from your teams that helped to, help you bring home this win and very hopefully help you pick up a win this coming April 13th at Subversive 10, sir. So, camera is all on you.
Sponsor shout outs. I want to shout out Bio CBD. You guys have kept me primed up this whole camp. I want to shout out Winter Circle Wellness. I want to shout out Tamarack Masonry, DC Fabrication, my boy Automatic. I want to shout out Puel's Osteria. That's my parents' restaurant. And I want to shout out Mamo Merch. You guys have been doing great with the shirts and stuff. And of course, up next, you guys always taking care. So, and thank you again, brother, for the opportunity to come on and talk. And I love your content and stuff. So it's a pleasure of mine.
Absolutely. And likewise, sir. And now you're part of the Grappling Hour, family. And I'm going to do a plug here in a second. I'll say bye to you off air momentarily. But maybe what we need to do, maybe we do a little shirt exchange. I get one of the
Yeah, let's do it.
Barbabian shirts. You got one of these. And then maybe at a certain point in the future, we do an interview. Let's say this. Let's say at some point in the future, we do one of these double up sessions where we do a little bit of training before we do our next interview. So do that one there like that, brother.
I'm all for it, brother. I'm all for it.
Because now I know your weakness is a Boston crab, and now that's all I'm going to be trying to hit on you. So now I'm like, oh, you know what? I think I know the one thing. I just got to stay out of that guillotine, and I think we're solid here.
Yeah, you got all the tips right there.
Well, listen, man, I'm going to go and, like I said, say bye to you off air. But thank you so much for coming on the show. Just to remind you guys, you're going to catch this man back April 13th, and that is at the Grove in Anaheim. We want you guys to show up with us. Lots of people coming through. It's going to be a really great event, Subversiv 10. So, Jake,
huge event.
Talk to you in just a second, my brother.
Thank you.
All right, you guys, thank you so much for coming in and watching today's show. A couple quick reminders before we close on out. First and foremost, merch. You like this? Come on over, rapasparza.com/merch. Get you one of these Grappling Hour t-shirts, and you can get a hoodie. That is at rapasparza.com/merch, or you can go to grapplinghour.com. You can also like, comment, and subscribe on this video. Now, you can tell us what is your cheat meal after you have finished competing like a beast. I know we heard earlier today it's pancakes or waffles. He stuck in waffles. He didn't think I was listening to that part. I knew for sure I heard waffles because I actually prefer waffles over to pancakes, but that's a different fight he and I are going to have in the future. So you guys can do those things and like, comment, subscribe, like, comment, subscribe, like, comment, subscribe. Additionally, if you guys would be so kind, go on over to the Patreon page. That is patreon.com/grappling hour. You can see these interviews 30 days before anybody else, and you can see extra bonus content not available anywhere else, including fight companions. You could also see our roast raft segment where people roast my competition footage, our tape studies with the athletes themselves, and mini-so topics that you yourself pitch where we talk to the athletes a few extra minutes and get extra stuff for just you guys. And I think last but not least, join us on the Discord. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us here at the Grappling Hour. It's been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats.